Reborn into a Tokyo girl high school student with exceptional gaming talent, Misaki Momoyama had to carry Inoue return to her hometown, in order to fulfill her dream of playing S6-S7, becoming one of the many foreign players in LPL. In the quarterfinals of that year, EDG played against FNC, and the final score was 0.4. At that time, I saw Clearlove slumping in a chair and crying uncontrollably, a scene that I will never forget. At that moment, I was thinking, if I could become an LPL player, I must win everything. If we can bring this trophy home, it will prove that LPL is the best division in the world. Our LPL is really amazing. From then on, LPL gained an extra peach blossom. Keywords of the novel. LPL's Tokyo Female Foreign Aid without pop-ups, LPL's Tokyo Female Foreign Aid Complete TXT Collection Download, LPL's Tokyo Female Foreign Aid Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. I am the player from across from EDG. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I am the player from across from EDG at 5:40 p.m. Eastern Time on October 9, 2015, the Pullman venue in Paris, France was brightly lit. The League of Legends World Championship is currently taking place here, and off the field is the third game of the second round of Group C in the group stage. The LPL team EDG faces the DFM team from LJL, Japan. The game is coming to an end. The Summoner's Canyon, where the signal sounds incessantly, and the double team of reinforcements in the middle of the DFM, step into the left river channel without any view. If the bright moon is not here, just open your mouth. I threw it out loud. Clearlove, the factory manager crouching in the grass, decisively threw an explosive wine barrel into the corner. Boom. Soliaga Tong. Pawns also immediately caught up with the big move, flying and slashing. Then, Ike flashed an Eka, and the three of them exploded, evaporating the blood-filled abyss giant mouth Kejimo in the air. Next, they killed the DFM auxiliary hammer stone. The team battle ended, and the best-developed mid-lane moon teleportation in DFM arrived late. Take the dragon, resurrect in 50 seconds, take the dragon first and then wave again. The factory director continued to implement his steady command style. In fact, in such a late stage, killing the AD in auxiliary, and going on the road with bare crystals, it's not much different whether to take the dragon or not. But even so, EDG dare not let go of his guard, it's just that the LPL overturned too many cars in this group stage. Not to mention the LGD who won 0 in the first round next door and the IG who surrendered during holidays with 1 win in the first round, even they themselves, due to 2 consecutive defeats to SKT, only achieved an embarrassing 2.2 record before defeating DFM. Moreover, before this wave of 5v4 team battle, they surprisingly fell behind the wild card LJL team DFM by 300 economy. Based on the historical origins of the 3 East Asian countries, several contestants can fully imagine how fierce the verbal and written attacks on domestic forums are under the backward situation. The opponent is fighting against the wild with residual blood, so they should go home. The bright moon hasn't arrived, and they are clearing troops in the middle. Auntie Ko reminded her. EDG everyone breathed a sigh of relief. They successfully punished the dragon and led the troops to march forward with great fanfare, advancing all the way towards the base. And the lonely bright moon of DFM still stood by as if there was no one else, clearing the soldiers in the middle, not even guarding the Highland Crystal. This practice in the ranking of passers-by indicates that the person has given up resistance and is purely protecting themselves. Finally. 43 minutes and 6 seconds. DFM suffered a tragic death in front of the spring during the wild and single battles, dealing an additional 6,000 damage and 2 heads to EDG. The blue crystal shattered with a loud bang. Commentator Chang Mao congratulated, "Congratulations to EDG, they have narrowly defeated the DFM team and still firmly control their hope of advancing. It is only natural that the MSI champion, the favorite to win the championship, defeated the LJL team who had lost all 4 group stage matches before. But this inconspicuous group stage did indeed attract a large number of audience attention due to its uniqueness. Viewers far away in China stood up and shouted, barrage and comments instantly filling the screen. EDG has finally won, and as long as there are no accidents, there is a high chance of advancing to the knockout stage. I hope that tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, the edge-eliminated LGD and IG can also emerge from the knockout stage. It's a close call. The women's singles in DFM's team are very skilled, almost overturning EDG with just one person's power. Indeed, even Pawns also couldn't hold down her bright moon. I feel like I have an LPL level in alignment and operation, and the wild card team is getting stronger and stronger. EDG's group stage is like this. Are you sure it's not that they're too incompetent, but that their wild cards are too strong? However, the high school students and college students from the island country, who had their own team join the world tournament overnight as cloud viewers, were unwilling to close the live broadcast interface and made 2 completely different comments on Twitter and 4CH. The former congratulated EDG in a friendly manner, while the latter used various vulgar language. Finally, we unanimously expressed admiration and curiosity towards the female contestants of DFM. Yes, the most eye-catching thing about this game is that the position of a single player in the DFM team's competition seat was actually occupied by a cute and beautiful girl. And this talented female player who led her team to the World Championship less than a year after joining DFM is the protagonist Tao Xia, whom we have traveled through. Of course, Tao Xia is already the name of her past life, and in this life, her name is Tao Gumeixia. The game name is Mika. On one side of the competition stage, DFM contestants remove their headphones. Sin Song Hamida. Private Marseille. Private Marseille. Xxmuxis Nix. Listening to the familiar yet unfamiliar peninsula and island languages in her ears, Momoyama felt very uncomfortable in her heart, but it wasn't entirely because she lost the game. Breaking through the wild card game with DFM's configuration and strength is already an accident, as for advancing to the knockout stage, it seems like a dream. She just thought of the past, thought of the final ending of EDG, couldn't help but feel sad and then lost in thought. In the distant memory, the person in the college dormitory should be the only team with a cheerful outlook to advance to the knockout stage against LPL, watching this group stage with a strong anticipation. She even deeply remembers the post she posted on the inflation bar after watching the game, influenced by her optimistic spirit. The situation is not too bad. EDG's 2 losses can only qualify as the second place in the group, while LGD and IG, who both gave points in the first round, can only advance as the second place in the group at most. That is to say, the LPL team does not have a situation of civil war in the quarterfinals, and there is little possibility of civil war in the finals. Thinking back then, I was in a period of disillusionment after the shattering of the invincibility of LPL, still harboring unrealistic fantasies and knowing nothing about the lower limits of LPL and EDG. That 3 consecutive years of darkness. S5, SKT wins the championship. S6, SKT wins the championship. S7, SSG wins the championship. LCK has achieved a glorious history in the competition area. Faker has consolidated his position as the Great Demon King, and a generation of veteran and Zhongmen has touched the coveted crown and retired in Rongguang. In the past 3 years, the hope of winning the LPL championship seems to have always existed. Every year, capital injection, signings, and the league are in full swing, but in the World Cup, they are repeatedly crushed. Those 3 seasons are the eternal pain in the hearts of every old Chinese LPL audience. So, I'm already a cherry blossom girl, okay. The dark period of LPL is none of my peach business. Momoyama shook her head, trying to shake off all the shadows. She, who was reborn and traveled through parallel worlds, has a complete set of 17 years of memories from her original owner. She has a father who worked as a middle-level social animal in a chemical industry club in Tokyo and a mother who inherited her family business and ran a flower shop. There is also a cute and sensible younger sister, amiable neighbors and classmates, and 4 internet-addicted teenagers in the same team. However, Tao Xia and his family overseas have long been missing this person in this parallel world. So, what is the relationship between LPL's dark era and the rebirth of Tokyo's self? With this innate physical talent, it is the most comfortable choice to revitalize LJL, secure the position of the top single in LJL, and have the opportunity to travel twice a year for public expenses. At the same time, make good use of one's excellent appearance and strength to earn Japanese talents. Immerse yourself in the perspective of the indigenous cherry blossom girl. Looking at the 5 energetic players on the opposite side, imagine that this team, which has just won against me, will soon enter the abyss of the 8-4 competition. As the opponent, I should have been happy like falling from a well. This is the outcome of defeating me in the group stage. Let you laugh happily now, and in the future, you will cry. After being extremely disappointed in his past life, he cursed at EDG, saying, Ming zi ba hua, kai zi ba hua, zi ba hua, they are among the top 8 every year. Or, congratulations to the EDG team for breaking through in reverse and advancing to the 16th round in team history. To put it even more bluntly, get out of the pig factory and retire immediately. But she is already a Tokyo female JK. LPL, I'm not familiar with it. Uzi, factory director, God, who are these IDs, Gumi Marseille. I'm just a genius girl who has only been playing League of Legends for a year. Faker is my idol. I really don't know these players who haven't even won world championships. Until today, she had been thinking this way. Do the same thing. Live a brand new life happily, play League of Legends leisurely, not feeling sad about gains or losses or victories, just like all Wingman players, pure enjoyment of the game. However, as the World Tour was coming to an end, news of consecutive defeats in the previous round of LPL came to our ears. Today, I truly looked at the young girl with a green expression on her face, the factory manager and deft at their peak, Pawn, who was plagued by waist injuries in her old career, and Amazing, the river owner with a smiling face, walking towards me and reaching out to hold each other. The bitter memories in my heart are like bottomless black holes, trying to devour her whole. She found herself unable to be indifferent to LPL. Unable to shatter all the memories of youth etched into the bone marrow, even if she changed her identity to become a cherry blossom girl, it is difficult to part with the emotions of the simple Chinese LPL audience who have integrated into her bones and blood. After all, if everything before rebirth is denied, it is equivalent to denying all existence from the famous Chinese work Tao Xia. Why did she have to play League of Legends alone in the cold MOBA game environment of Tokyo, and why did she join LJL? It would be easier to earn a lot of money from the memory of 3 years of rebirth in the coin-buying competition. Even more so, accepting the current female identity with pain and joy, finding a wealthy person to live a shameless and impetuous married life, and sharing selfies and watching anime in her free time is the life that a beautiful girl named Taogu Meishia should go through. Taogu Meishia held on to the last contestant who came over, the factory director's scorching palm. She gave the answer in her heart, yes, I'm so angry. I just feel uncomfortable about losing the S5, S6, and S7 games to LPL, even though my ID card now says Tokyo. Taogu Meishia let go and said to the factory director in a Chinese language that she had not spoken in over a year, you will face heavy consequences when playing FNC in the top 8. Study them carefully in advance and be careful of Hyunhee's orders with Ruewen and AD Keenan. The memory of S5 is too distant, and the reverse Q and Jean Chuandang are too eye-catching, to the extent that looking back at the quarterfinals of the BO5, she only vaguely remembers Rek's signature Kennen and the peak Hyunhee's Ruewen. But perhaps it's just a matter of one sentence, and the result is completely different. Ah. Do you speak Chinese? The factory director heard the clear and unfamiliar words of the LJL beauty contestant, who had become popular worldwide in this World Cup, and immediately thought he had heard it wrong. Taugu Meishia smiled and said, "I am a fan of the factory manager, so I learned a few Chinese words from the host of LPL before the competition. I've been wanting to say this to the factory director for a long time, but unfortunately, I couldn't successfully beat my idol and instead was beaten by my idol." The brief exchange between handshakes ended, and she stopped explaining more about the prophetic reminders and left with her own mouse and keyboard. Only the factory director, who was complacent about becoming an idol of a beautiful contestant, but also inexplicably wary of FNC comments, remained in a daze. And the live broadcast interface's .on.1 speech. Just now, the Japanese female contestant seemed to have said something to the factory director. She seems to be laughing. The factory director is really enjoying it now. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Intergame Doubts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Intergame Doubts. DFM still has a group stage match to play tonight, so Taugu Meishia did not leave the gym, but returned to the lounge to wait. Their team is equipped with a Korean foreign player, Yutaka Sugiura from the top single and Siros from the middle single, who was kicked off the bench by Misaki Momoyama, are veteran players. Similarly to her, the new players who only joined the team this year are playing as an outfielder, Teiji Ikeda, and supporting Kazu Suzuki. In the lounge, everyone brushes their phones to relax. As for preparing for the next game, the teams are all determined to be eliminated, so there is no need to make meticulous preparations for the final game. The curtain call performance is completed by performing a variety show in front of audiences around the world with the heroes you are good at and like. Meishia, what did you say to EDG on the stage just now? Chinese. Shangshan Lei Yushio Yepaten, the team's social butterfly, asked curiously. Taugu Meishia replied, "Well, I will use the Chinese language I specifically learned to talk about the fans of Clearlove in the bedroom, and I wish them all the best in breaking through the quarterfinals and going further." Yepaten, who is playing the anime mobile game, looked up in surprise and said, "How can you speak Chinese in Meishia? If you learn more, you are so powerful, and now your reputation has soared, maybe you will have a chance to play in LPL." Assistant Kazu interjected, "Going to LPL? If you ask me, it must be going to North America or Europe, where the salary is high and the competition is easy, and it is also a developed country. Playing there is much better than going to underdeveloped China." Before this World Cup trip, Meishia Taotani never considered going out to sea to compete. She didn't play LJL just to make money. Firstly, due to Japanese regulations, she couldn't make any money from playing esports. Secondly, the virtual currency she held in her hand was enough for her lower body to have no worries about food and clothing. "I came here to play LJL purely because I love the game League of Legends, but I am in the esports desert and there are no friends around who can play it. But now with the idea of reversing the future of LPL, investing in the formation of the Galaxy warship is definitely not worth it. The only visible way is to go to LPL and play games. Perhaps it is necessary to make sufficient preparations for the transfer to LPL. If I really decide to leave LJL after playing the S game, don't think too much of me," said Taugu Meishia lying on her chair. Everyone laughed. They were all aware of LJL's current difficult situation, and it was the team members who could go abroad to get better resources and be happy for her. What's wrong with this? Other regions have high salaries and popular audience, not like Japan, where there is a bonus limit on top and not even a League of Legends Japanese server on the bottom. Can the league develop? However, substitute Siros, who had not spoken yet, spoke up and said, "The Scenery Representation Act will be lifted. I heard that the league's top management is trying to circumvent the regulations. As for the League of Legends Japanese server, there was also a preview at last year's Tokyo Game Show, and I believe it will be released soon. I think it's better for you to stay at LJL in Meishia. With your strength and current popularity, you can definitely become the head player of our LJL and become the faker of Japan. But going to North America, it's very likely that you won't even have a chance to play. This long-faced middleman, who claims to be the ruler of Japan, has always regarded becoming a local faker as his goal, as Misaki Momoyama knows. But she thought her departure could bring Siros back from the bench to the starting lineup, and the opponent should be the happiest one for DFM, but she didn't expect him to be so considerate of the league. But since it was a preventive shot for leaving the team, Misaki said cruelly, "I never thought of becoming a fake. For me, it would be great to easily become famous and earn money through games." The atmosphere in the lounge has subsided. Yupatin quickly tried to smooth things out. Let's not talk about this anymore. We still have one last game left in the group stage, and it's too early to talk about the transfer after the game. Besides, everyone has their own choices. The topic is now interrupted. Misaki watched the game between SKT and H2K on the computer screen in the lounge, holding her phone and flipping through Twitter and online messages. There's not much to watch in the competition. At the peak of S5 SKT, playing against LPL teams is like fighting against drones, let alone being the third seed in Europe. The number of followers on my Twitter account is significantly increasing, and it has not stopped since I led DFM to emerge from the wild card game. This account called Peach Valley Beauty Girl belongs to the original owner of the body. With respect for the deceased girl, Peach Valley Beauty Xia did not delete or cancel it, so she retained a large number of selfies and second episode speeches. After inheriting the account, she did not give up using it and naturally treated it as a platform for publishing live messages and engaging with netizens. She types and posts articles. It's a pity I lost to Egg again. There's still the final game against SKT, and I'll do my best. Smiling, faker, although I lost in the first round of the game, be careful today. I have prepared a secret weapon. Love, as a beautiful girl player in the wild card team, one thing is good. Even if I tweet continuously after playing a game, I won't be demoted to the Twitter king, and I won't be whipped like the factory managers, research MSI opponents, and prove I am the world's #1 wilderness fighter, for making big statements. The comments below are filled with languages from various countries, and familiar Chinese characters are no exception. A prominent item appeared in the comment. Taogu. Mika contestant looks a bit similar to a retired teacher, but they even have the same surname. I'm not sure, could it be that a certain teacher changed his name and made a comeback to compete in the esports industry? That faker must beat up DFM. Retire teacher Taogu and maybe watch a movie again, hehe. It can only be said that ugly people are all sorts of strange, and beautiful faces are all the same. A certain Taogu teacher is a cute type, and she herself is also a cute type. It is indeed somewhat similar in appearance to try to find her. In addition, the live broadcast footage of League of Legends in 2015 is not as high definition as before, but Taogu Meishia still couldn't hold on. With this comment, her mind was filled with the appearance of teacher Taogu, and compared to her own appearance, the more she compared, the more she felt as if there was indeed some resemblance. I manually deleted the comments and found out that Twitter, apart from the official version, does not allow individuals to delete replies from others. I had no choice but to turn to the line interface without seeing anything. Sister, my parents are also secretly watching your game and I caught them. I asked them, and since you went to LJL to play a game, Dad has been asking the young subordinates of the company to open a live streaming webpage for him to watch the game. He has also gained a preliminary understanding of the game League of Legends. They only found out that besides arcade consoles, there are computer games that millions of people around the world are playing. It was a message sent by my younger sister during the break of the competition. There are also photos taken after the message. In the dimly lit room, two middle-aged people knelt and sat in the room, staring at their narrow laptops. Japan is known as the island of online gaming, and the environment for esports is even worse. I remember that until the years before its rebirth, the Japanese government still strongly opposed esports. Meishia's parents may not be considered outdated, but they still find it difficult to support her choice of playing esports, especially the choice of running to play games just because she enjoys playing games. The reason why I finally agreed to let her try was mainly because her high school grades were really dismal and her chances of getting into college were slim. In addition, Taogu Meishia herself is also considered a beauty. Even if she fails her career and comes home, she doesn't have to worry about finding someone to marry. Now that she can see her parents accepting and touching her choices, she is quite happy. Although she has only been reborn for a year, the memories of the girl's past are fully inherited, and a faint taste of family affection permeates her heart. But if we make a decision to go to LPL, perhaps in the future, we can only see them a few times a year. Taogu Meishia's already less determined determination was slightly shaken. She typed, "Sister, if I were to go abroad to play a game, you would." Then delete each word and sentence one by one. According to my younger sister's mature and rational personality, even if she feels uncomfortable and wants to cry, she will pretend to be generous and agree to her choice with a smile, and even take the initiative to search for information online to analyze her LPL situation. Momoya Meishia re-typed, "Hurry up and sleep for me. It's already midnight in Tokyo. Also, in a few days, I'll come back and bring you the best chocolate in Paris. Prepare to give your sister my closest hug." She thought. It is difficult to say for sure whether one can play as a starting single in LPL as a current LJL player. There is no need to make them worry too early, as there is no need to skim on the 8 characters. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. SKTV's DFM. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. SKTV's DFM. At 8 p.m. Paris time, SKT easily defeated H2K in the middle, and EDG once again defeated H2K in a crucial match. The top 2 teams in Group C of the S5 group stage were thus determined, and all development was no different from their previous lives. And Taogu Meishia welcomes the final battle of this European journey. DFM vs SKT. In the Huagua Live broadcast room, the commentator said with a smile, "All right, the game is about to start." According to the lineup from the previous game against H2K, it is very likely that the SKT in this game will still be Easyhoon. It's like this. Faker said this is a good opportunity to relax. "I need to go back to the lounge and close my eyes to rest," he joked. Sika said, "The key is that the Faker needs to finish playing in 20 minutes, and it takes 40 minutes to play on Easyhoon. The Faker probably needs to sleep to see the game finished." But there is a fake sitting upright on the screen, hitting the face at the speed of light. The doll was surprised and said, "Oh my, you're really a fake." With a smile, he said, "I probably think that after playing this game, DFM may never encounter a fake again in their lifetime, so give them a chance." Feeling the tug and stomp in her words, the doll immediately made up for it and said, "The problem is that it's also difficult for Easyhoon players to encounter it again. Hey, it's also possible that we haven't had many opportunities to play against beautiful contestants in the S game in our lifetime. Faker wants to experience it more." Sika chuckled. SKT deliberately replaced DFM with a Faker, not because of Momoya Meishia's strength, nor because of the special care she received from female athletes. More importantly, it was due to the complex brought by Japan. Even if there was a 1 in 10,000 chance, SKT would never allow them to lose to DFM. Everyone is ready and the competition begins. When it was S5, it was still a traditional 3-ban mechanism, and version heroes couldn't be banned at all. The ban is coming to an end soon. The blue SKT bans Captain, Aso, and Jiaoyue, all of whom are skilled heroes of Momoyama Meisha. The red DFM bans Iron Man, Callista, and Ritz. Except for Ritz, the other 2 are mandatory heroes for the red side in this version. It can be seen that, consistent with the meaning expressed by the lineup, even in the last insignificant knockout match, SKT still did not slack off at all. In terms of personnel selection, they are more stable and seek stability. They have a classic lineup of top singles, wild spiders, mid-singles cards, ADC Hivel, and auxiliary hammer stones. Avoiding DFM's sharp and outspoken mid-laner Mika, Faker, in order to cooperate with his teammates, made a groundbreaking move by presenting cards that have never been used except by Easy Hoon in the team. They were able to carry the game up and down without any leakage. DFM quickly selected the top scorer, Field Excavator, ADC Cannon, and Auxiliary Bloom, leaving the last counter position for the center scorer. Looking at the blurry avatar of the old version card in the hero box. The dusty memories of the beautiful summer in Taogu have been awakened once again. It should be in the quarterfinals of this year, when accused Chinese singles player Shimin Yi said that he used Little Fish Man to kill Fakers multiple times, achieving his shining moments in the World Championship. In the near future, the Card Fish Person online teaching video of the high-scoring anchor Dopa on the dual server will make this classic single-line enemy combination even more well-known. So, she, who originally wanted to surprise Faker, has no reason not to choose Little Fish Man. In the Huagua live broadcast room, a few commentators are excited about whether they will choose Zayuran. Choose the Little Fish Man. Then let's get the show effect. I don't think it's very likely. Jianji, the spider, the steel wire, the wheels, and the mother's shield are all too powerful for controlling Fitz. Only the Tsar can choose. However, I still think it's possible to choose the Little Fish Man. After all, Mika won all the middle assassins in the previous matches. And in the final round of the group stage, it would be great if we could show the audience a spectacular mid-court showdown in the game. Without hesitation, Taogu Meishia locked the title hailing Fields. Seeing the bold choice of the female contestant, the enthusiastic European audience on site, as well as the commentators and viewers watching the live broadcast, all cheered and boiled. Whether this female contestant is killed by a faker or lucky enough to win 5 games, the biggest highlight is the Little Fish Man himself. On Taogu Meishia's voice channel, her teammates were not as excited as the audience, but rather curious and worried. When did you train as a little fisherman, Meishia? Is it possible? Yaputan said on the order. Be careful, it's difficult to kill a single player with a weak burst of cards, but after all, it's a fake, said the wild player, Astror. Don't worry. My understanding of the card Little Fish Man has surpassed this version. When the faker habitually hits the first minion, the matchup is already over. Taogu Meishia answered half-jokingly. No problem, Dopa's teaching is indeed after many versions. She flipped over to the complicated old version talent rune page, where Little Fishman clicked on regular 2.1.9.0 talents and armor runes with armor for card flat A, summoner skills with flashes and teleportation. The game begins. Enter the game and head straight for the river channel, then poke your eyes at the intersection, and both sides start constantly exploring the river channel. In the medieval version of League of Legends in S5, the first refresh time of the wild monster was 2 minutes, 30 seconds slower than later versions, while the first level accessory I lasted for 60 seconds, which was half a minute less than later versions. This led to frequent probing outside the wild area, making first-level invasions and team battles very easy to break out. But in this game, the design of the first-level team in DFM was already used in the first round of the competition, and in the final game, what I want to do more is to compete head-on with the world's top teams. SKT relies on its strength advantage and does not engage in high-risk operations. Both sides tested twice and went online normally. The camera immediately aimed at the center where the 2-star contestants were located. Meishia stood behind the small soldier and hesitated left and right, waiting for the card to take the lead with the A soldier. This way, the first wave of troops would push towards the small fish tower, and she could eat the knife very safely. Although Faker was unaware of the well-known A. Knife and control line theories in later generations, his experience and instincts as a mid-sized single demon king made him not easily A. Weapon, but rather try to push forward. Meisha didn't give it a chance and kept the distance behind, always staying outside the range of card level A. The initial online intrigue came to an end. The card player is long, and the competition is not inferior to ranking. He chose this hero for operation, and if he continued to drag on, he couldn't quickly push the line and cause trouble in the wild. After a few seconds of walking, the faker began to attack A. soldiers. Then Taugu Meisha stepped forward to repair the knife. The small fish man with short hands complements the nearby melee soldiers at the back, inevitably getting stuck in a fierce battle and quickly showing a difference in bleeding volume. Meisha is equipped with 3 red medicines and crystal bottles, and has already prepared for early stress resistance. But the commentator Xiao Xiao and Zika, watching the Little Mermaid's head constantly clattering, naturally praised the faker who returned to the land fairy realm this year. Wow, this is the suppressive power of fakers. When they go online, they can squeeze out nearly 100 points of health difference for the little fish man. I feel like Mika players can't hold on anymore. It's quite uncomfortable for little fishmen to play as a long-handed hero in the early stages. In fact, compared to the natural disadvantage of the middle road, the other roads of DFM are the worst. Shanlu Nua's hand was hit by 2 weaknesses by the new version of Genji, and he dared not even eat his experience. On the way down, the small cannon Bloom was forcefully pushed by the wheeled mother, and after being snatched 2 times, he could only shrink under the tower. And the jungle excavator didn't even understand how to brush the jungle, and was forced to have a chaotic rhythm by the opponent's hammer stone level 1 stop towards the wilderness. The whole team doesn't even have a Korean server king, and Meisha Taugu didn't have any surprises with these performances, nor did she have any expectations for these teammates. She only focuses on her own operations. If she had come to LJLS to play games before today, it was simply because of her love for League of Legends. As a veteran player of over a decade, she had little pursuit of personal game success or failure. She only remembers the carefree youth of watching games with friends in the dark. So after deciding to change the LPL Dark Era, she suddenly had an additional responsibility beyond the happy game. And to achieve the goal of changing history towards LPL, to fully demonstrate one's strength in this game for transfer operation. Confirm that fakers are not invincible to give oneself confidence. The above 2 points are particularly important. Come on. The little fish man is almost leveling up to level 6. That's the highest explosive set. She carefully calculated the hero's experience points in her heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Killing Wolf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Killing Wolf. The progress of the game is not as good as Taugu Meisha had hoped for. As a top professional player, Faker couldn't easily give her a chance to take away the explosive set of level 6, as even high-level players can predict. As they were about to level 6, Faker had already intentionally deployed his troops and retreated to the shadow of his field of vision. And the 6 Meisha Little Fishman cards were just 2 soldiers short of leveling up in an empty space. When DFM played against Gank in the wilderness, they were squatted by SKT spiders. At this time, Marin Genji, who occupied the line power, and Faker, who released the line, did not hesitate to teleport them. Faker made up his mind to wander around completely, not giving Little Fish Man the opportunity to interact with him alone when he was promoted to level 6. Taugu Meisha quickly pulled the small screen to check the situation on the road. At first glance, I was certain that I was caught dead by a spider before placing an order. There was a teleportation difference, so I had to fight more with less. This wave of teammates was not saved, and if I teleported myself, it would be a waste of time. She didn't even submit the teleportation, so she felt at ease and became a middle-bound earth spirit. After repairing her sword and upgrading to level 6, she went home and bought 2 Dolan rings from Grandpa Timo. She then returned to the line. Looking at the line again, Faker supported his teammates and helped them chop off ADCs and defeat the heads of wild men. However, he did not return to the city. Instead, He chased after his own support bloom at the river's hammer stone lantern, and then walked back to the center, relying on the hammer stone to protect him. He used his skills to reinforce his troops in front of her. Taugu Meishia measures carefully. The card has not lost much health on the way down, and now it is protected by a flashing hammer stone. Her explosive damage is about 100 points short. But the 2/3 health hammer stone that covers the pushing line on the side is very arrogant. Dare to shake in front of the level 6 little fish man. I can't kill a card, can't I also use residual health assistance? She pretended to be a soldier and approached the card. Then, using a passive without collision volume, she suddenly took a step forward to reach the release distance of the card's skill, and then Q approached the card. Standing next to him, the cover hammer quickly gave the lantern. This is the opportunity. She found the right angle and pressed the R skill. It's time to feed the fish. Fitz's mischievous voice rang out. Perhaps it is a gift from heaven after rebirth, or it may be that the original owner already has extraordinary gaming talents. After being reborn, Taugu Meishia possesses a body that far surpasses that of ordinary people in terms of hand speed, brain speed, and dynamic vision. And this wave of our skill shark attack is due to her super strong predictive ability. Although the angle seems to be slightly off, she skillfully bypasses the lantern and lands on the card, taking another step forward, successfully hitting the hammer stone that is eager to save people. Faker's quick-cut yellow card stands above his head, but he is aware that it cannot be used immediately and must be well connected with hammer stone skills, because the little fish man and the ancient spirit monster can be immune to all control skills. Wolf looked at the approaching little fisherman and handed out a death sentence. Even if he knew that the little fisherman was holding on to E, he must be released even if his life was in danger. But Taugu Meishia didn't even use E, she saw the hammer stone skill shake forward, walked around and twisted her waist to avoid the hook, and as soon as the distance was enough, E ghouling spirit monster took action. E2 sets of damage combined with W tearing effect to increase the damage of ping A, as well as a fierce shark drilling out from the ground, instantly swallowing the hammer stone. The scene was filled with screams. The hosts of several broadcast stations all shouted excitedly, among which the two hosts of Twitchy Japanese stream were the most excited, their faces exaggerated and deformed with joy. The game is still ongoing on the field, and after finishing the game, Taugu Meishia received a yellow card and was hit by her QA. But as a single mage in the operations department, the card master Trist has no explosive ability at all, and his opponent is likely to return to the city to soak in spring water after playing Wild Gank. Taugu Meishia didn't have to be afraid at all, and went away with her red medicine. The humble and arrogant Faker immediately admitted to his problem, my mistake, I shouldn't be greedy for this wave of troops. As a supporting Wolf in the Korean station, Wolf was very unhappy about being single-eaten by female contestant 1v2 from LJL. She shouted unwillingly, ah. Sebastian. How could she hit me with this big move? ADC player Bang, who aspires to lose weight after the World Cup, joked, maybe Wolf, you're too fat and have increased your collision volume. Yes, due to the conventional impression of LJL players crossing over. The angle at which Taugu Meishia feeds sharks is truly eerie. The players on the field, the commentators off the field, and many spectators all thought that Meishia's trick of bypassing the card and hitting the hammer stone was a blind cat hitting a dead mouse. The commentator laughed and exclaimed, oh. Mika players' movements are very impressive. Although the angle of the big move is very thrilling, I thought her skills were empty, but it was this unique skill release that allowed her to get her head. Sika almost cursed in the official live broadcast room, lie down. This allows the little fish man to get his head. There's something about Fitz in Mika Kant's position. A doll with sufficient pre-match preparation said, Mika, this wave can get her head value. I remember in the first round of playing SKT, DFM was shaved off and had a bald head. In the second round, they almost won over EDG and then took the head from SKT. They made great progress. The audience expressed their disagreement. Is DFM as bad as any other way? Only the middle single. Mika's level suddenly skyrocketed, and her performance in these few games doesn't seem like that of a wild card player at all. Mika can't be considered a level surge, right? After the last round of matches, I watched the DFM wild card game video and she has always been a stable carry point within the team. Really? DFM actually has to rely on female contestant carry to compete, so the other 4 contestants are also too lazy. In the game, Meisha goes back to get the blue buff, and then goes back to the middle lane to make up for the damage. But the rhythm of SKT was not interrupted by the mere death of auxiliary equipment. Returning to the city to replenish the equipped cards, they continued to forcefully push the line against the small fish man who did not have any major moves. He can take a red card and draw a few times to take away the entire wave of troops. In contrast, the little fish man in the United States can only use the draw A and Q to eat the line, and the life-saving E skill cannot be used first. Soon, the troops are once again suppressed under the tower. It is not realistic to kill the little fish man in Yuta. The goal of the faker is to go to the hands of Lu Nuo. Marin Genji, who has supported the lower route through teleportation, is still firmly suppressing DFM's orders. It can be imagined that there is a gap in strength between the two sides, and it is easy for Faker to use the big move, Fate, to withdraw 300 gold coins from the upper tower after leaving the middle route. Immediately after, Meisha returned to the city to replenish her radiance, and her side was caught and killed while shopping in the wilderness. The situation in DFM has plummeted, and it is not something that can be solved by just an assassin or a fisherman in Meisha. Just arrived in 10 minutes, with a head count of 1.4, DFM's economic backwardness has reached 2000. Taugu Meisha is still looking for opportunities to kill cards. When the second big move improves, the line power will fall into her hands. On the way to eat soldiers, Q went up and faced A with a card. Although she sacrificed nearly 100 points of health by exchanging health with the minion, as long as she could lower the card's health and reach the kill line after reaching level 6, Little Fishman was definitely not at a disadvantage. And she also had a crystal bottle that restored health and blue. Quickly, the half-health card dared not repair its sword in front of the little fish man and shrunk behind the defense tower. The card under consideration has flashed and the opponent's playing position is unknown. Momoyama Meisha continues to patiently wait. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Dansha Faker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Dansha Faker. At the beginning of the game time of just over 12 minutes, the live broadcast camera suddenly shifted from the middle lane to the upper lane. SKT, who was pressing step by step, once again launched an attack on Yapatan, a single player on DFM who had been tormented by female teacher Genji. Faced with the battle against Gank, Ta Xia Noa finally showed some master-level operations in the Korean costume. He dodged spiders and flashed E while walking, regained health with his backhand Q, and then took on a new set of moves against Genji, who hung a big move on Q. Great move, Nox Guillotine. Dressed in a jersey, the sports student Drius raised his basketball high and slammed it towards the female teacher, Kenji, who was holding a ruler. Boom. But Marin just lightly pressed the W key, and Lawrence's Mind Blade immune effect was triggered, silently swallowing Noah's powerful dunk. The 15-year-old commentator doll has not yet developed a mouth-twitching habit, but as she watches the bloody sword G block the big move and quickly break through the loophole with her backhand, extinguishing the hope of Noah Show's counterattack, she can't help but be amazed. Wow. The big move on DFM's order was blocked. Almost. Oh, unfortunately, the big move was blocked by Marin. With a smile, oh my, Marin pinched this W2 tightly. He's too calm, just waiting for Noah's hand to jump big. It's a pity. Hey. Sika followed halfway and noticed that the live broadcast room suddenly shifted its perspective. The body of the card master appeared under the middle tower, as well as the little fish man who had left from the defense tower's bombardment with blood. Single kill. What happened in the middle? Mika single kill Faker. The doll's tone became even more excited and high. He is very clear. If the success of GNG's blood salvage show and the flipping of Noah's hand is an admirable and exciting scene, then Mika Little Fishman's single eating of the fake card under the tower can definitely become a famous scene in this group stage, and even this competition, and will be passed down to future generations. Even every time LJL, DFM team, and Mika player are mentioned in the future, this single kill will be individually presented for tasting. The anchor is also very sensible. After controlling the little fish man to expand the attack range of the defense tower in Meisha, he immediately gave a kill replay. I saw her first go from the blue tower to support on the road, then use her backhand to hit the big move, shark attack, pass through the wall and suddenly pounce at the card from the shadow, but the fake who was replenishing troops did not react. Oh, when you eat the little fish, you will slow down and be hit by the Q skill Wa. The fake will cut a yellow card and be dodged by the little fish's pole jump, flashing. Little fish flashes and follows the card flash to the landing position, the shark bites out. The live broadcast footage shows a close dot up, with the shark's head leaping out from the bottom of the card's foot and swallowing it in one gulp. The little fish man swayed his feet and left the intersection of SKT Tower 2. The real man never turned back to look at the explosion. Oh, it's already a girl. Seeing this scene, everyone inside and outside the field was boiling. They thought Mika contestant would come up with a pure Little Mermaid, but they didn't expect her to get a double head in 10 minutes, one of which was the great Demon King Faker from Ekigo. Twitch's Japanese text stream is full of Mika-colored text, while the most watched Chinese broadcasting station, attracted by SKT and Japanese female contestants, once again launched a large barrage of barrage. Mika lifted her mask and found out that the one sitting on the chair was actually a women's suit named Simon. Mika sauce is such a powerful move. Singles. Fakers wouldn't even dream of being single-killed by a female contestant from LJL, would they? I suddenly felt that Pawn, who was suppressed by Mika Jiaoyue in the previous game, was not as bad anymore. At least Pawn's father was not shamelessly killed by Mika alone. Commentator Xiao Xiao was still in disbelief and said, "Ah." It turns out that he got the fishman's ultimate move, which made it difficult to survive. Faker gave him a chance. Anyway, this is a real cross-tower solo kill. Lie down, did Mika intentionally hide the hero pool? This is too fierce, said Sika, unable to hold her mouth in her profanity, but neither the commentator nor the audience could find the true value of Taugu Meisha's single kill. The reason why Faker couldn't react was to use flash to avoid sharks. Because she's getting stuck in her vision and timing. As she walked towards the middle of the wall and her vision disappeared, she immediately threw a big move. Blind vision combined with the distance inside the wall, the only time Faker truly realized was the moment and the big move left the wall and flew towards the card at a short distance. Moreover, Meisha knows that Fakers have a habit of cutting screens. When the other party detects that the fish man is leaving the middle and has a supportive move on the road, their attention will inevitably briefly shift towards the upper road. The timing she is looking for is also very perfect. Meisha, how did you do it? During the playback of the guide, Yapatan, who was lying in the spring, even stopped buying equipment on the DFN voice channel. Even though it was extremely difficult for Marin to replenish his troops, he fell behind by more than 30 when replenishing his sword. He was caught and killed twice in more than 10 minutes, and was even beaten back to the city by Jianji alone once, and Mika Fishman's short hand against long hand not only stabilizes in the early stage, but also kills the famous Faker Ekigo alone. This situation is vastly different. I'm good at handling it, right? Meisha answered briefly. It is indeed pure operation. She was just a real gold and silver player in her past life, but after being reborn, she suddenly possessed a demon-like gaming level. The Korean server king could easily play it. Although the soul she carried did not change, her gaming abilities were vastly different. The only explanation for this situation could be the huge update in her physical hardware. The brain thinks more and faster, the eyes see more clearly and comprehensively, and the hands move faster and more stably, which means the operational ability becomes stronger. This sounds a bit harsh to Yapatan. The meaning is that I was crushed and caught to death, and my level and operation were not enough. However, as teammates for nearly half a year, everyone has a better understanding of Momoya Meishia's personality and understands that she is not showing off maliciously. Oh, I really wish I had your kind of operation. Yapatan envied. Meishia roast from the bottom of her heart, do I envy the operation ability of this game? Do you want to exchange it with my little brother? Yutai Gu, everyone's strengths are different, and I envy you too, said Asaxi with his mouth. Actually, SKT is just like that. We just got it. We also have a chance to win. Hey. Kuzu, the assistant on the way down, tried to say something to cheer him up, but halfway through, he was beaten by SKT's next team who found an opportunity. The latter half of the sentence stuttered down. In the final game, everyone at DFM relaxed and had more unrelated conversations in their voice. However, the competition is still ongoing in a tense manner. Meishia's single kill cannot save the deeper and deeper teams, even drinking poison to quench thirst cannot be considered. They collapsed so badly on the road that they were torn open by Marin's sword concubine. New audiences in later generations rarely learn about Marin, a player who was forced to retire due to age after only playing for 2 years. In their eyes, it seems that the Shy is the pinnacle of a single player. But anyone who has watched the S5 competition will remember this dazzling carry model deeply. Winning the finals FMVP in the hands of the top 2 teams, Faker and Bang, is a testament to their superstar-like performance in this series. And in the heart of Meishia in her previous life. Marin is the most intense part of the LPL shadow in her heart. At this moment, the dominant figure on the road once again showed her fangs. Just 2 minutes later, Yapatan, who was listed on DFM, was killed by Jianji with a big order, and then a tower on the road was knocked down by him. Then Marin applies pressure down the road to help SKT firmly grasp the first little dragon. 12 minutes, DFM's economy lags behind by 2000. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Taking ADC Head. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Taking ADC Head. Marin was not satisfied after finishing a tower with Xiaolong. He watched as Zayuran exceeded the number of card replacements and the 2.0.0 kill data. He commanded on the voice channel, "We must limit Zayuran's development, Wolf. Let's work together to hit the middle lane later." Assisting Wolf was humiliated by his death in 5 minutes, and the little fish man who had already looked at Meishia was not pleased. He immediately agreed loudly and waited for the opportunity to leave the next path for a walk. Fake quickly reminded his teammates, "Pay more attention when catching the little fish man, Mika's operation is very meticulous." How meticulous? Bang laughed as he walked down the road. "Xianghe, you're too cautious. You're just a wild card player from LJL, killing someone is just a stroke of luck. Take it easy, catch her a few times, and little fish man won't be able to play anymore." Faker bit his lips and didn't speak. He knew that Mika's solo killing was not accidental, but his arrogant personality made it difficult for him to say more about how others would undermine his own prestige. Moreover, with 4 guarantees and 1, having their own card trick of shifting yellow cards to supplement control, the little fish man without flashing is simply unable to fly. Quickly, Jianji, who had cleared the troops on the way with SKT, followed the wild panther girl and circled the wild area to reach the 4 birds, while Wolf's hammer stone returned to the city and headed straight towards the middle road from the spring. A wave of Grand 4 Pack 1. The commentator doll was full of anticipation and said, "SKT is determined to catch the little fish man. Can Mika detect it in advance? Sika said, Mika is still recruiting, there is no signal in the wild. Ah, the players in the wild are still too naive. The LCK team cannot make you feel so comfortable in a C. position. With a smile, I think Mika still has hope of escaping. She seems to have some reaction. The excavator is rushing towards the middle, but the spider is already in place and stuck behind the tower. The excavator from DFM arrived on time. But the down lane assistance lacks the awareness of anticipating a walk, and the top single collapsing Noah Show dare not even enter the field, let alone support the middle lane. The field is full of SKTI positions, and can only use consciousness to predict SKT tactics. Meisha looked at the spider that appeared from behind the tower and immediately jumped onto the pole to the left F4 pit. However, when she landed, she saw Marin Genji, who had been in ambush for a long time, and next to her was Trist, who landed a yellow card. Pop bang bang bang. 5 consecutive sounds. After card A stuns, Marin's sword G breaks 4 times in 1 second and easily kills Meisha's little fish man. Isn't it just a simple kill? Bang, who was hiding behind the tower and was under pressure, laughed. It's a waste to walk around with hammers and stones. Wolf, who was avenged, laughed and said, West 8. I didn't even get an assist. Even the faker secretly breathed a sigh of relief, and indeed, he was worried too much before the 4 guarantees. The audience expressed sympathy for Mika's tragic death. Is this the treatment of LJL's first winning order? Being awarded 4-1 by SKT is worth it. Mika is still too naive in front of Marin. I really want to know what she looks like when she jumps into F4 and sees Genji waiting for her. SKT, take it easy and don't retire Mika. On the field, Meisha had no complaints about her tragic death, and even her expression remained unchanged. Faced with the comfort of her teammates, she just wanted to laugh. Because I have never had high hopes of winning SKT, I cannot feel despair. I think it's a bit urgent for SKT, it's a package of 4 in 1. As for. After casually buying the equipment for the Lich Demon, she bought the first large item in 14 minutes. She estimated that her development was only inferior to Genji, and there is still a possibility of cutting to the opposite C. position. However, if she dies again, she may become invisible throughout this game. No. The situation is getting worse and worse. At the speed of receiving money from the opposing tower, there is probably no need to die. If the current situation develops normally for only 5 minutes, she will lose her leading position in economic level and cannot play a role in team battles and single belts anymore. There are not many opportunities left for Meisha Shio to manipulate and take the human head. In fact, in the future game time, SKT didn't even leave a single flaw for her. When she was resurrected from the spring, the middle defense tower was hit by the combined force of the card Spider Hammer Stone, and after the defense tower shattered, the entire wilderness of DFM fell. Faker's cards begin to move down the lane with lines, while the duo shifts to the middle lane. In the past year or two, the rapid push system of female police officers has gradually declined due to the sanctions of fists, and the rapid push system of wheeled mothers and small guns has gradually been established. At this time, major leagues did not have a rigorous understanding of the speed push, and did not start designing it from scratch like in later generations. More importantly, it was the players' self-cooperation. But as the strongest team today, SKT can still suppress DFM to the point of suffocation. Meisha turned down the road and aligned with the cards in just 5 minutes. First, a wave of 4 people grabbed and forced him to abandon the next tower. Then, SKT killed the small cannon Bloom and the excavator once each, quickly pushing down the 2 towers in the DFM. However, Meisha not only couldn't find the opportunity for a single cut, but also couldn't gather teammates to join the team. 20 minutes later, she returned to the city for the 3rd time to replenish her equipment. By this time, their entire team had been squeezed to a high ground, and except for herself and her assistants, everyone else was behind one big piece. The wilderness was pitch black. The scene was so oppressive that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't help but feel that this was the enemy that LPL faced in the early autumn of 2015. All 5 contestants have peak strength and can defeat opponents in the match, coupled with a seamless Korean-style operation. This SKT is invincible. Even if we don't consider the sudden collapse of LGD and the normal amateur nature of EDG, how much chance can a normal LPL have of winning against this SKT? Perhaps that's all for now. If you want to take the head again, you can only do it in team battles. She explained to her teammates, look for opportunities in the middle to force the team, let me follow you. Forcefully opening a team without considering any formation is like giving the game rhythm to the opponent, but now the problem with DFM is that even opening a team battle is extremely difficult. The fake eyes of the S5 World Championship have not been cancelled yet, and there are also built-in accessory eyes and auxiliary equipment eye stones. Under the great advantage, SKT almost completely inserted the DFM wild area intersection into the field of view, making it difficult for them to even reach the high ground, let alone form a team behind them. Finally, in the 22nd minute, the batting and assisting team found an opportunity to hit the spider in the middle wild area. Mike directly drops the infantry line and presses out the teleportation. After landing, the SKT counterattack was successful, and the hammer stone hooked the excavator, cutting the card onto the small cannon. The teleportation of S5 did not land and accelerate, so she could only reach the middle battlefield on foot. At this point, her teammate had already been killed. ADC in battle dead, normal operation should be to escape and defend the high ground. But that's not Meishia's style. She was born again for the sake of a happy game, preferring to face the strong wind with a smile like Yasuo, rather than crying and being chased away like the factory director. Long before the landing of the TP, she saw the Wheel Mother's E-skill used to block the top of the excavator. She immediately flashed her Qua and then took on the E-skill. The shark head that came out of the water engulfed Zyweir completely. Meishia got the third head. Although there is nothing to say about the release of operational skills, the courageous approach and clean and decisive actions still make the commentator audience passionate. There was a burst of messages on the screen. What a handsome fish. Mika outbreak is so high. Take the bang dog head from the army, Mika's operation is full, even the big moves have not been missed. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Taking Bang's head again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Taking Bang's head again. Nice. The little fish man who had completed all the skills of Zyweir was beaten to death, but Taugu Meishia was very happy. She was even happier than winning the game and killing a hero, let alone the champion AD player Bang. Since her rebirth, she has enjoyed playing with these assassin heroes and enjoying the excitement of that moment. At this moment, in the SKT voice, the black screen state of the Bang player's face is very unhappy. The competition among SKT players in the S5 season is very fierce, otherwise there would be no rotation between fakers and easy Huns. Marin runs away the next year and engages in meditation training. However, the dazzling performances of the SKT players in the past 2 years have overshadowed all disputes and public opinion. Bang, who has just reached its peak, has ambitions to compete with Faker for leadership positions within the team. He thought he had died alone once in this game. He didn't have as many wild heads as he did in the first game, but his output in the later game was not as good as that of Will Mom. As long as he didn't die, he could win the MVP in the final round of the qualifying match. As a result, the shark was simply fed by the little fish man, and the MVP plan was completely ruined. Shiba, why does this Japanese female athlete like to play assassin hero so much? It's so disgusting. Isn't it good to play Lulu? Marin, who was in the center of the team battle, had a clear understanding of Little Fish's operations. I feel like assassins are really skilled at playing, and it's not unfair for Xiang He and Wolf to have died before, she said. Bang angrily said, hurry up and push the high ground. There won't be any waves coming out. So the SKT team that won the team battle quickly ate the dragon, and then prepared to use a 1-3-1 point push to pry open the door of the DFM Highland. Faced with such operational segmentation, LPL's years of anti-Korean experience in the future have proven that finding opportunities to form a group and kill people is the only solution, and Taugu Meishia and her teammates did the same. But the League of Legends in S5 does not have the final puzzle of Ornn and Casagario, the fake eye has not been removed, and DFM does not have enough strength to win team battles. The flash of the player on the road, not only failed to help his teammates open up the situation, but also opened up the opponent's sword G's backhand, and the card opened our destiny, while the wheel mom's big move accelerated. SKT5 quickly assembled. The little fish man defending under the Meishia tower had not yet arrived at the outbreak of the team battle, and his teammates had already been slaughtered. The ground was covered in corpses, unbearable to see. Ah! I lost so miserably. I was holding my best Nuoshan, how could it be like this? Yaputan showed indifference even for the entire game, and now he is quite frustrated. Coming here is already the limit of our strength. Simida, is one of the strongest teams in LCK. DFM Korean Aid ADC comforted in broken Japanese mixed with Korean. Just finished, let's continue working hard next season. Kyuza's heart is still filled with beautiful hope. Taugu Meishia's heart twitched slightly. She knew that one of the strongest teams could be eliminated in front of them. If nothing unexpected happened, SKT would be 100% the T0 team for this World Cup and even the next 3 years, casting a shadow over all teams and spectators in other regions. However, with the addition of myself as a rebirth, will there be any accidents? Probably will. In the game, SKT starts pushing the Highland Crystal after completing the kill. Bang was very angry about Upbo's death method, and relied on the hammer stone lantern behind him to protect him. He fell off the defense tower and rushed up to attack the little fish man. However, as Taugu mentioned before, after being repeatedly handed the head by her little fish man, SKT became a bit anxious. And this wave of leadership from Bang undoubtedly gave her another opportunity to perform a talent show. The cooldown of Hammer Stone W and Wilmom E is both around 20 seconds, but in previous team battles, Lanterns came out first and Wilmom E came out later. Coupled with the reduction in cooldown caused by Hammer Stone's mountain-like appearance, their life-saving skills were staggered by 3 to 4 seconds. Meanwhile, when Bang fired A, East was still close to 2 seconds away. Taugu Meishia seemed to have experienced a mechanical soaring mind, instantly calculating the opponent's skill situation. That is to say, pop sharks. At the moment when Zywiping A had not yet landed on the head of the little fish, Misaki Momoyama made a big move and E jumped towards it with a pole. SKT assisted Hammer Stone to deliver the lantern in seconds, and Bang was secretly delighted. LJL's middle-ranking player was indeed brainless. She didn't even know if she had a lantern, otherwise she wouldn't dare to be arrogant in front of a skilled little fish man. He dragged the mouse and held down the lantern. Wait, what's going on? The lantern was clearly on the bottom of his feet, but Bang couldn't step on it. Zywier's action was to turn his back and move in place. True eyes. The reason why Meishia immediately used her E skill after releasing her ultimate move is to bring her closer and release her true eye on the Hammerstone lantern. She jumped to the ground with a pole, followed by the isolated and helpless Hivel and Wa in Q, and then the soaring shark swallowed it up again. The record of Little Fish Man has been rewritten from 3.1 to 4.1. The operation of inserting eyes to prevent the lighting of lanterns is best remembered by later generations for the 2 mistakes made by Uzi in the S8 World Championship, which earned him the black title of Jian Lantern. However, in the actual S3 season when Hammerstone appeared, it was discovered by ranked players that they obstructed opponents from lighting lanterns by inserting eyes to collide with volume, and the OGN Summer Tournament had already appeared on professional tracks that year. After being shocked, the Bang player and his 4 teammates immediately understood the reason why they couldn't light the lantern. There was a silence on the voice channel, only pushing the crystal with their heads down. But at that time, League of Legends was just starting to become popular, and most players were only new to this game, while professional leagues attached to the game were even more niche. Most viewers have seen this kind of operation for the first time at a world competition. The tide of applause flooded the venue. The discussion is all on the live streaming forum. Sleeping slot. DFM, this girl's high school single is too eye-catching. Surprisingly, she cut off Bang again. What's the situation? Why can't Bang light the lantern? Is this a bug? Does anyone know? Finally, a person who understood explained, it should be because the little fisherman inserted his real eye midway and got stuck in the model of the lantern. However, this means that the little fisherman inserted his eye faster and more accurately than Bang lit the lantern. Bang was unexpectedly overshadowed by the wild card solo performance. Isn't this group stage too exciting? What's so exciting? Except for Mika's few murders, DFM was beaten by SKT throughout the entire process, with no fighting power. The 2 commentators, LJL, blushed with excitement like apples. The global audience was conquering the skill of the little fishman lantern insertion, and the high cheers on site seemed to be playing in the World Cup final. But in reality, there is no doubt that this game cannot be called good. Looking. DFM has no hope of winning from start to finish. The heads of Taugu Meishia are very dry, in the terminology of later dolls. She was unable to help the team gain resource advantages, nor was she able to change the direction of the game in one go. The only thing she was given was a few hundred gold coins, which kept her personal finances from falling. 2 more minutes passed, and SKT, which had regrouped, once again implemented a separate promotion policy. They successfully removed 3 sets of crystals in front of the hesitant DFM crowd, followed by a wave of pushing down the highlands, blocking the spring water and removing the main castle crystals. Watching the blood bars on the crystal head continuously decrease. Taugu Meishia, who is huddled in the spring water, is still laughing. She laughed happily and started dancing in the spring. It turns out that killing a fake and killing a Bang twice in the game is so much more enjoyable than randomly killing in a ranked game. Finally, the laughing little fish man froze the scene as the blood-red crystal shattered. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Enemies and Invitations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Enemies and Invitations. After the competition, it is customary to shake hands. In theory, as a rare female player after being reborn, she always receives good treatment in this stage, either with a kind smile or a shy bow. But after this game, Meishia did not receive such preferential treatment. Fakers are already passionate about gaming and do not care about the gender of their opponents, they simply shake hands. Bang gave away 2 heads in her hand, and her chubby face, which had not yet lost weight, did not have many good looks. Wolf, as a South Korean station wolf, is even less likely to step on it. Only Marin, the oldest and most mature player in the team, gave an appreciative smile on the top single, while Benji, who had little personal thoughts, turned his head awkwardly. Taugu Meishia looked at these people seriously and deeply engraved the faces of the 5 people in her mind. They were even more innocent and ordinary than she remembered, feeling like they were all lively League of Legends players in front of her, falling into the world from the terrifying Demon King shining in the live broadcast screen. Objectively speaking, I have no grudges with these people. It is unnecessary to be hostile to SKT players just because of the shadow of my youth. However, humans have always been a creature controlled by emotions. Meishia thought she would take the regret of the past lightly in her lifetime, but the fact proves that people have close relationships and are one of the most vengeful species in the world. Compared to the familiar players in LPL, and the friends who used to watch games and play games together, the 5 teenagers in front of her, no matter how ordinary and harmless they may seem, are just enemies to her. It's so hostile that even if you lose the game, as long as you can disgust the opponent, you can have a happy day. Hey. Meisha sighed in her heart, I'm sorry, I've always been an LPL person. There is no verbal communication between the two parties. The handshake is over. Meisha followed her teammates back to the lounge, tidied up her belongings, and prepared to head straight to the hotel. Due to the 0-win probability in the first round of DFM matches being close to 100% elimination rate, the flight tickets were pre-booked, and the team had to catch the next day's flight. When Meisha arrived at the lounge, she was stopped by the manager and coach, saying that someone from the TSM team came to talk to her. The TSM team has not played the second round of the group stage yet, but they do not need to rely on the prophetic ability of the rebirths. Just looking at the team's current record of only winning the first round of 3 games and crossing the LGD, it is clear that they are in dire straits. Are their team managers still in the mood to find themselves at this time? Meisha followed the team abroad with doubts, but never had the opportunity to work and went to see the TSM team manager as a paid translator. On the other side, it was not the white image that Meisha thought was in a suit and leather shoes, but a young Asian wearing a TSM Team T-shirt with dark skin and a chubby figure. Looking at the highly similar face of Captain Winston, Meisha rediscovered the familiar memory fragments. TSM founder, veteran player and active manager, and the world's most famous Nishin Reginald. Politely shaking hands, Reginald said, "Hi Mika contestant, I heard that you are boarding tomorrow morning and it's very urgent. I won't say much more. As the manager of the North American champion TSM team, I officially invite you on behalf of our team." The conversation is translated by default, so I won't use English word count. Are you joking? Not to mention that my willingness to join North America is very low now. Meisha remembers that their center singles player Bilson had been playing at TSM until S10 before announcing his retirement. She didn't believe that her transfer could easily steal the starting position of the local star center singles player. She said, "Don't you have Bilson? And since the World Cup hasn't finished yet, you're starting to recruit people." Captain Gorilla smiled and said, "It's not like we invited you to hit the singles. I heard that Mika players have only been in League of Legends for less than a year, and they have been playing well in their ranking and singles. Recently, the singles version matches your style very well, so I believe there will be no problem transferring to the singles. As for recruitment, our North American team is definitely different from LJL in terms of wealth and strength. Even if we have already dominated this region, we must continue to spend money to strengthen." Actually, Captain Gorilla didn't say anything. Who bought a female athlete to make people play games? He only values Mika's commercial value, and with a little packaging, whether it's live streaming rewards or brand endorsements, they will definitely come rolling in. Without waiting for Meisha to refuse, he offered a contract salary that he thought was very attractive. An annual salary of $800,000. Not to mention LJL, whose scale is restricted by regulations. Even if it is placed in the North American division of S5, it is definitely the first tier down for all star players. He thought Mika would gladly agree, even if he couldn't fully consider it for a moment. He must have been surprised to say he wanted to discuss it with his family. But the young girl in front of him calmly refused the proposal. "Thank you for your concern, but I currently have no intention of going to North America." Captain Gorilla also reacted quickly and continued to promote, "Hey. I know a sudden invitation can catch people off guard, but I can guarantee that TSM's invitation to you is absolutely sincere. The World Cup is not over yet, and there is a long winter transition period. Miss Mika, you can take your time to think about it. It's best to communicate more with parents and friends, and feel free to contact me anytime during this period. TSM's door has been open for you this autumn. Thank you." Meisha Taogu doesn't have the habit of making a smiling face, and if her own operation to wit the LPL fails, it's not impossible to use the North American division as a spare tire. She bowed and thanked, "I will seriously consider it." Both sides parted ways in a friendly manner, went back to the lounge to handle their personal belongings, and the entire DFM team left the Paris Pullman venue. Did you agree to the invitation from the TSM team, Meisha? When will you depart? On the way, Auxiliary Kuzu asked curiously. The North American team manager made a special appointment and it was obvious what he wanted to do. I didn't agree, Meisha replied. Ah. Didn't you say you were ready to go to North America to play games before? Hughes exclaimed in surprise and joy, as he ultimately enjoyed playing games with beautiful contestants. Meisha doesn't want to give her teammates unnecessary expectations. I have indeed made up my mind to leave LJL, but TSM is not the team I most want to go to, and the target area is still LPL. Upon hearing her words, all the players in the team were puzzled. No matter how LPL is calculated, it is impossible to surpass the North American division. The reason is a secret. Meisha replied with a smile to her teammates' questions. The bus gradually drove away from the sports stadium. The buildings standing behind are like castles. The lights ahead are dim. Through the car window, she could vaguely see the spire of the Eiffel Tower in the distance, which was a scene she had only seen on a TV or computer in her past life. In the deepest memory, the scene of the 5 members of FPX standing under the tower in a crooked position emerged. The next time the S game starts in Paris is in the S9 season, when the Phoenix team led by Doind will win the championship here. The evening breeze is cool, and neon lights are flashing. Taugu Meisha couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Her first World Cup trip has come to an end. 4 years later, will she still have the chance to come back here to watch the Iron Tower and play games? I will definitely do it. She rolled up her hair that had been blown off by the wind, thinking to herself. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Home in Tokyo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 10. First day of holiday. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. First day of holiday. The next day when she woke up, it was already 10 o'clock in the morning. The bright sunlight shone through the unfurled window and spread onto the bed. She raised her hand to cover the dazzling light, her white and smooth arms were like dolls, and her slender and straight fingers were like white jade. Every time she looked at her current body, she felt a sense of confusion and falsehood. If the act of rebirth is truly false, perhaps it would be better for oneself. There is no need to indulge in false family relationships, let alone feel sad about past memories, and only treat this rebirth as a game. But the sparse fluff reflecting golden light under the backlight of the arms, and the pale blue veins below the skin, make the feeling of being alive so strong. Turning over and waking up, she was naked and had her clothes scattered on the ground before going to bed. It should have been a good thing done by her younger sister. She didn't go out on vacation, and the temperature in autumn was suitable. She just put on a T-shirt and shorts and went downstairs. The room was quiet and empty. Unlike most traditional Japanese families where husbands work and wives are full-time housewives, both Meisha parents have their own jobs. At this time, one should wear a safety helmet to review work in the company, while the other should proficiently use flower tongs to build branches in the flower shop. She went to the freezer to take out the food prepared by her mother and heated it in the microwave. She finished breakfast briefly and went back to the upstairs bedroom to turn on the computer, starting the first day of the holiday scoring. Opening the client and looking at last night's results, I realized that apart from 2 rounds of human-machine games, my younger sister, Taugu Lisa, actually used her own account to rank in a game. Watching the fox die 12 times in a 30-minute game, Meisha couldn't help but laugh. It made you overestimate your ability to play more than a dozen rounds of human-machine games, and then dare to run to the small and ubiquitous Ionia to play rank. After she smiled, she also started ranking herself. Initially, players in League of Legends only chose their own server based on their region, but as the number of players in Telecom Zone 1 increased and their strength surpassed those in the later servers, a large number of people who were eager to challenge themselves began using their own accounts in Zone 1. The following 15 years were the period when esports had just risen and the peak of the canyon had not yet opened, which was also the hottest period in Ionia. Regardless of the rank, there is a mix of good and bad. But there is no doubt about the value of the Hanfu Master, and Taugu Meishia won 3 consecutive victories in a simple way. The time has arrived at noon. My parents and sister both bring bento boxes, so Meishia, who is alone at home, has to handle lunch alone. The 15-year history of Chinese online food delivery has swept across the country, but now that smartphones have just begun to spread in Tokyo, it is simply impossible to order takeout easily. But this won't stump her. Take out the regular noodles from the freezer, mix them with some Japanese Kanto cooking materials and throw them into the pot to cook. Take them out, pour boiling water on them, and then mix with miso sauce. The simple noodles that don't know how to call them are freshly cooked. After a year of experimentation and trial and error in Taugu Meishia, the cooked noodles taste quite good. After dinner, she still had to continue ranking, but at that moment, the team director called. After playing the World Cup, the entire team has already gone on vacation. Afterwards, they can only participate in a few promotional activities and private internet cafe matches at the club. In theory, the club has no reason to come to her at this time. What are you looking for me for? Momoya Meishia. Chairman Shinyuki Mizaki said, aren't you famous for the World Championship? The official organizers of FIST and LJL have urgently invited you to participate in the Twitchy Japanese streaming live broadcast 3 days later, and explain the elimination tournament with a few LJL commentators. Commentary on the S5 quarterfinals. This is about stabbing herself in the chest with her own hands. Taugu Meishia was worried that she would explain halfway and couldn't help but curse the factory director and Wei Shin Kid. Moreover, it was not possible to work during the holiday. She firmly refused, push it off. I don't know how to explain. The chairman quickly explained, it's just that guests are not commentators. Even if you don't say a word on stage, it's okay to be a vase. Those who haven't played games in China can't understand the competition, and it's even more okay if foreign audiences can't understand Japanese. They're all looking forward to the female contestants who are on the main stage of the World Cup for the first time. Meishia said, being a vase is even worse. I'm a professional athlete. How can I be a vase? Anyway, I just can't go. Anyway, the contract with DFM is about to expire. Don't say if DFM dares to punish the star players for not participating in the team's organized activities, even if it is really punished, it will only be a fine of tens of thousands of yen at most. Compared to Chachien, it is true that physical health is more important. Going to explain the game will definitely be infuriated by LPL's Waterloo performance. She hung up the phone, sat back at the computer desk, and continued playing games. By 3 p.m. in the afternoon, the second-to-last contestant in the classification competition had just been selected to Yasuo. The stairs were clattering with footsteps, and if it weren't for her understanding of her sister's leg frequency, Meishia might have thought she had been a thief. She quickly manipulated Aso to hang up at the spring water and opened the door to go out. Sure enough, she saw her sister Taugu Lisa upstairs. Japanese schools open classes very early, and then it is the classic club activity time in anime animation. In order to showcase the protagonists' fulfilling extracurricular life, the clubs in the animation will arrange various remote and novel clubs. However, in reality, various highly professional and hierarchical departments such as the Kendo Society, the Archery Department, and the Sports Department are willing to vigorously develop, occupying the majority of the club's power. And these clubs have the same nature as various extracurricular, interest classes, in China. As a result, students and homecoming parties who participate in such programs as the Anime Research Society and the Alien Research Department will be deemed as unsociable by teachers, parents and classmates, and are vulnerable to discrimination and exclusion. Her younger sister, as a lovely and outstanding academic student, is naturally different from her sister Meisha, who used to be addicted to her home and didn't want to participate in clubs. She participated in the formal club performance department of the school and was also a top performer in club activities. It is said that she achieved the position of deputy director in the performance department. So coming back so early is a bit unusual. Meisha asked, "What about today's club activities?" "I'm on leave," my younger sister replied and continued walking towards her room. "Why are you taking a leave? I see you're in good spirits. Also, your bedroom is over there." Meisha pressed her sister's forehead. "It's nothing, just not in the mood to play the piano," Lisa said as she nibbled on the chocolate. She saw the message on Twitter while playing on her phone after class today. A well-known North American whistleblower said that her sister immediately received an invitation from the North American team after playing the American Summer World Championship. TSM failed to qualify for the knockout stage, and it is said that due to shareholder pressure, the team is preparing to rebuild. However, their preferred player list includes the name of LJL player Mika. The CLG team where Doublelift is located also has a desire to recruit Mika players who have conquered millions of spectators in this group stage. It can be foreseen that a female mid-career singles player with game strength has unparalleled commercial value in the current League of Legends esports world, where the number of male and female professional players varies greatly. However, with the low popularity of Japan's local League of Legends, it may be difficult to retain Mika players. She, who was conducting a high-intensity online search for her sister's game ID, saw these messages and was at a loss for a moment. She took a leave of absence and came back to ask about the truth. But looking at her sister's current state of despair, which was completely opposite to when she just graduated from high school a year ago, she didn't know for a moment whether to ask. If Meisha really wants to leave Tokyo and go to the distant United States, what she should do is support her, right? If my sister is unwilling to leave LJL. I heard that the salaries of players in North America start at 1 million yuan per year. What she should do is persuade her sister to confidently go abroad to play games and earn money. However, she is unwilling to separate from her sister who has been with her for more than 10 years. Can you stop going if you're not in the mood? Wow, you really have a lot of power as the deputy director of the music department. Meisha continued on the topic of taking leave. Why are you in a bad mood? Lisa sat on the bed, unable to find any words to ask about the transfer of Meisha, so she had to find a valid reason to answer. I introduced League of Legends to my classmates, and they all said they hadn't heard of it before. They even asked me when I became interested in video games and advised me not to get addicted to them. In 2015, in Japan, the father of the Wilderness Operation, PlayerUnknown, had not yet emerged, let alone PlayerUnknown's grandson Apex. These two games, which had greatly expanded the Japanese online gaming market, were nowhere to be seen, and the local market was still dominated by PS games and Nintendo games. At this moment, in the isolated island of online gaming in Japan, promoting League of Legends to her classmates, Misaki Momoyama can probably think of her classmates' awkward expression. What do you think? Talk to your classmates about this. It's not for your sister's sake. If League of Legends could be as popular in Japan as abroad, your salary and competition environment would definitely improve, and your fame might even be comparable to my Daigo in the fighting game industry. Meisha smiled and said, "Then I really thank you, the little propagandist. Alright, I won't talk to you more. Your sister, I need to continue ranking." End of this chapter.